Hey guys, Diane here with the GreenEyed Monster Review, and today I have my husband with me.
What's going on?
He just has to be in all my business, apparently.
She invited me.
So we just got done watching Knock at the Cabin, the movie based on the novel by Paul Tremblay, The Cabin at the End of the World. So we were just going to do kind of a quick synopsis of the book, the movie, even a little spoiler review at the end. So
So we'll have different sections. We'll start off with non-spoilers, right? So we're not going to ruin anything for you.
Right, yeah.
Regardless, the book or the movie, whatever we're talking about, we're going to not reveal anything that you shouldn't know.
Right.
And then we'll give you plenty of time to go into the spoiler-free section. But right off the bat, should you read the book before you see the movie? That's what I did.
That's what I did as well. I read it a few years ago, but no, I don't feel like you need to read the book before you see the movie.
I'd agree with that. Yeah. So and then another quick down and dirty. Should some people go rush to go see this movie? What do you think?
It's an enjoyable movie, but it's not something that you need to see in the movie theater. It's not something that has this, wide expanse, nature scenes and, things like that. It's not something that, it's really character driven, story driven. And that's really something I feel like you can watch on your own TV.
It wasn't like a Marvel movie where you need to go see it at the theater. And even
like Jurassic Park or something where you want, the dinosaurs in your face. But this one I did like it. I felt like I would have really enjoyed it if I wouldn't have read the book before.
Yeah, so I guess you want to go over a synopsis before we jump into anything else?
Yeah, go ahead.
So a quick synopsis of the book is really brief. I think this is probably best to go into blind, honestly.
The book is really
the
book is pretty short too, so you don't need
a lot of detail. But pretty much, quick synopsis is there's a married couple. They're gay. They adopted a child. They're on their family vacation out in a cabin in the middle of the woods. The daughter's out playing one day, and then they get a visitor, some big guy, burly guy that comes, and he pretty much gives the family these ultimatums. And it kind of goes from there. That's probably the best way. I would probably leave it open-ended after that, so you don't really know what's happening. I think if you've seen the trailer, it's going to ruin some things for you, but not.
Yeah, I typically don't really even watch like a full trailer. I'll see about maybe the poster, poster, or just a snippet of the trailer to where I'm like, okay, that's good enough. Because even in some trailers, just like sometimes on the back of the book, I feel like there's almost a little too much given away. And you can't get that back. You can't unhear something. So I'm always pretty careful about that. And I try to be careful with reviews and things like that too, so not to ruin it for anybody else. But as far as the book goes, it's been a while since I read it. I did like it. I enjoyed it. I couldn't tell you a whole lot of detail about it, but as far as it compared to the movie, it was pretty much the same.
Yeah,
I mean, you read it just...
I actually did what we kind of said not to do. I read the book 3 days ago. I think I finished it on Monday.
Yeah.
And then I saw this movie. Overall, I think about 80% of the book matches
very similar.
The movie. If I were going to make a recommendation, or if I would tell myself, hey, to redo this, I think the big thing that I always struggle with when there's something that I want to see is I think back. There was a time when I wanted to read Shutter Island before I saw the movie.
That's a book I wish I would have read.
And then I was kicking myself because I didn't do that. So I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss out.
Well, typically I always try to read the book first. There's never been an instance where I watched the movie and then I was like, oh, I want to read the book. Or it's always, I wish I would have read the book. Because once you've seen the movie, it's kind of like, well, you kind of have those actors in your head too, and you have all that.
This one, if I were going to make a recommendation, I would say go see the movie first. Then if you're really intrigued, honestly, go to Wikipedia, go to somewhere and just kind of wrap up the story, because there are some differences there. But
well, the book is a lot darker.
Oh, for sure.
The book is a lot darker. Sure. It's much more...
it's darker, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the content's not light in either of them, but
right.
it is darker when you're reading it. I mean, I think you're stuck in those pages.
Yeah. The book does feel more claustrophobic, but for the movie, typically when I read a book and then watch the movie, I feel like the movie goes by so quickly, but this one I felt the pacing was pretty on point with the book as well. So the adaptation, I would say this is a really good adaptation to the book, but it was so similar that I don't know if you really need both.
No, not unless you're like a diehard fan. Like if you've already read the book and you're like you enjoyed it, I think that you would enjoy the movie.
But if you haven't read the book, I think you'd really enjoy the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. As far as the movie goes, did you think the acting and stuff was good? How did you feel? I have one thing that I've been wanting to say.
What?
So I thought the acting was pretty good for everyone, with the exception of like 2 people, and it just happened to be the married couple.
Why?
So if you've ever seen Always Sunny in Philadelphia, I swear that one of those 2 guys looks just like Dennis.
I know who you're talking about. He doesn't.
Yes, he does. I put a picture up. They're the same person. And like when there was like some serious moments in this, and I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, oh God. I can like see Dennis like there's like the implications about the boat thing. If you've ever seen that clip, it's hilarious. But like they're very similar. So like it was hard for me to take this guy serious.
Don't take that from him because he has no.
Yes, they look
similar, but their mannerisms and everything are different. The only thing is they're both white with blue eyes. That's about where the comparison ends.
They could have both been the same guy, honestly.
No,
I'm not convinced that wasn't him. But yeah, no, that kind of took it out for, honestly, kind of a little bit for me just because the whole time.
Yeah, because you're obsessed with Phyllis.
Always Sunny. Yeah, it's a good show.
Sunny.
Yeah.
It has its moments, but yeah. So as far as that goes, I would say, what would you rate it? What would you rate?
So you want to start with the book first? Mm-hmm. So the book, I think I would give the book a 7.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Really? Mm-hmm. What about the movie?
The movie, I would say it's about the same. I'd say it's about a 7 out of 10.
It's very odd, isn't it?
It is very odd because
I feel very just the same for both of them.
Yeah, they were very similar. The book, I would say, it's just a different type of. I guess I'll leave that for the spoiler part because I wouldn't want to give anything away. So you do, obviously in a book, you're going to feel more in depth in the book. You're going to feel more connected to the characters, more connected to the situation. Whereas in the movie, you're kind of watching it unfold. And in the book, you're really kind of there. So there were some parts that I still remember. And the book was graphic. I expected the movie to be a little more graphic than it was, which I didn't really have a problem with. But
they did a good job of like.
Yeah, they did.
Having.
It was enough, but in my mind, I was thinking of the book and how it felt when I read it,
Yeah. I mean, it's not very often that I'll see read the book and then I'll watch the movie and have like the same kind of feeling, but I kind of did in this.
Yeah,
like,
it was a good job. Yeah,
and the Cabin at the End of the World, like it was fine. It was a pretty good book. I definitely felt like I was more invested in the characters in the book than the movie. Yeah. But I mean, there's more time
you get
to
to
develop
know,
a character.
yeah.
And I feel like in the movie they did some things that were like, I feel like they could have built the characters a little bit better, but
there was one part that was so corny. I was like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Leave that crap out. Yeah, I was like.
Yeah, so
that just kind of took away.
Okay, you want to talk about that in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, overall, like, I think that if you're just have a free weekend and you want to, go on a date or something, that's what we did tonight. Mm-hmm. Go check it out. I mean, it's not, so M. Night Shyamalan, I saw an article that said that he wants everyone to go see this in theaters, or he highly recommends it. I don't agree with that. I don't think you need to see this in the theater. If you waited, no big deal. But if you're just looking for like something to do this weekend,
it's not an experience you need on the big screen. It's not. There's not a whole lot of. I'm trying to think of a horror movie that I would really enjoy on the big screen. Something like Underwater. It was.
What? You're just looking for a movie? Just any movie. Just throw a movie out there. So what I'll say is, if you're gonna go on like a first date and they're just super boring, like halfway through, and you just. you don't have any money, but you're wanting to do something still, and you don't want to talk to this person, just tell them to go see this movie.
If you don't have any money, you're not going to the movie theater. It's like $60.
No, that's why you make them pay. That's what you did. I'm still here.
Paid today.
I'm an idiot. But yeah, I mean, do you want to kind of wrap it up there for the non-spoiler? Or is there
now we'll move on. No, I think that's pretty much it. So now we'll move on to the spoiler section.
Okay.
So we're moving on to the spoiler. All right. I'm going to have a flashing spoiler sign if I can find one. So that way anyone who doesn't want to talk about spoilers can,
okay. Hopefully you
like, comment, and subscribe, and then turn it off.
All right. Spoiler section.
Okay.
So let's talk about the differences. You want to talk about the difference? Because I think that's really the big thing. If you've read the book...
There's not very many. There's two differences. So in the book...
There's two major
differences.
Yeah.
They do. But in the book, the daughter dies. And in the movie, she doesn't die.
Nope. She makes it to the end.
And in the movie, she's so freaking cute. She's so adorable.
She's cute in the book, too, though.
She is cute in the book.
She's out there catching grasshoppers and just
really
doing
cute.
things.
She's cute.
Yeah, that was like one of the big things, and I kept waiting for it to happen, and then at a certain point, it just didn't, and then I was like, oh, it's going to happen.
I was kind of waiting for that, too, because... Yeah. But this, like I said, the movie it's not lighthearted. I hate to use that term, but it is a lot lighter than the book. If you read, any Paul Tremblay books, there's a heaviness that comes with his writing, which is enjoyable.
Is The Cabin at the End of the World, is that classified as horror?
Yeah.
In the movie, I didn't really feel like it was horror, really. I feel like it was more suspenseful.
Yeah, it was more of a thriller, I would say. I wouldn't say
it's not a thriller. It's more suspense.
Yeah,
it's not really
I guess.
Anything...
Suspense thriller.
Yeah.
No.
Just no.
Thriller suspense. A suspenseful thriller. A thrilling suspenseful movie.
All right. Anyway, yeah. So that was the first big... All right, name a movie you see at the theater. You can't
Titanic.
Titanic? From like 50 years ago?
I didn't even see that at the theater.
I wasn't even born when that came out.
You were.
Actually, I did, and I saw it at the theater.
You did?
Yeah, when I was a kid. My grandma took me.
Oh.
I cried. I did see her boobs, though. That was pretty cool at the theater.
Can you just...
Sorry. All right. Keep going. Keep it going. All right.
Okay, so the spoiler for the movie. So
yes.
This is going to be a big spoiler. So the end of the book and the end of the movie are different. Completely. So in the book, it's kind of an open ending. The daughter dies, and then they're kind of just left with each other, and they don't end up sacrificing one another.
They kind of leave it open ended, and you're at the end of the book, you're kind of like, all right, well, did the end of the world?
Yeah,
really happen?
Did the world end, or
yeah.
did the world end, or were they making it up? Was this all just coincidental?
I definitely think that in the book there's more suspense there for you to think, well, what? Because a lot of the things that are happening, like as they occur, and like they're sacrificing people, you're like, all right, well, those are all like very plausible things that could happen.
In the book?
In the book, yeah. Whereas in the movie, I feel like they were still like plausible, but like
in the movie,
towards the end.
In the movie, I felt like it was a lot more believable that they would sacrifice one of them, because he ends up having some sort of vision to where he sees his daughter being successful. He sees, them moving on, and then them having a happy life after this. So in that aspect, he's like, okay, this is real. I am feeling this, and I will sacrifice myself. So in the movie, it does make it more believable to where why someone would actually do that if they, since they chose that family because they were so in love.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point too, because like at the end of the movie, they actually have something to lose, right? Because they still have their daughter, but in the book. Mm-hmm. Once their daughter's gone, do they have much to lose?
Then, I don't care.
Yeah. I mean,
but even then, you're not really gonna care what happens either. You're kind of at a loss with them at the end of the book.
That might be a selfish way of thinking, right? You're like, well, I don't have anything to lose, so. All right, sorry, we had a mic slip. Diane's moving around with her head too much, and the mic can't handle it. But yeah, so I don't even remember where we're at, but largely another one of the big differences was kind of the way that each one of the people go, right, when they sacrifice themselves. Yeah. It was a little bit different, but the end of the conclusion I felt like still was the same in both, right? Yeah. I mean, that one wasn't too drastic, but I mean, outside of those, I'm trying to think of
outside of, I mean, those are two key points, but outside of that, the story itself, the characters, how they interacted, how everything played out was pretty much the same. Was basically the same.
I do think that the characters, like the relationship between the two dads was better in the book, and they defined it better. Because at the beginning, it just like all of a sudden there's all this action, and then you meet the two dads.
And then they kind of have some flashbacks and stuff, so you're getting it.
But I felt like you kind of lost like a connection to them. It's like all of a sudden, like these people are trying to kidnap and stuff, and you're like, well, okay, whatever. But like there was a part where like they're like jumping into the water, into the lake, and you kind of feel like that part. I feel like should have
really connected them. Yeah,
because that was like okay. You kind of established
they're a happy
one of them
family. And one is more cautious. Yep. One's the fun one. So
yeah, I didn't really feel I didn't feel that attached to either one of them.
I mean, as it progressed, you felt a little more attached, but you're not as attached as you are in the book, which I feel like is, normal. You're going to be more attached to the characters of a book because you really are getting to know them over a longer period of time.
And you see them throughout like season and season, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I like it. I
was like, wait, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no, I mean, is there anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about? I think that was
I think that was pretty much it. I think that was
it was pretty much all. I don't regret going to see it. If you were going to see it for the first time, I think that would be see this and then
maybe decide if you wanted to check out the book. I mean...
But I wouldn't do that. I would just read a synopsis.
They're so similar. They're very much the same. And you've already seen the spoilers, so you don't need to. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. Hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment. Let us know if you saw it or if you read the book, how you liked it, and we'll see you next time.